Today's stories, one young girl's slight interest in something snowballs into her becoming the third wheel in her own relationship, but as you find out, it's not so much her curiosity that killed the cat. An update on the Chinese food story from December where the racism is now just full-blown out of the woods. It's just there. And our first story featuring a young man who foolishly thought his girlfriend's baby craziness was just a phase, titled, "I want my girlfriend to have an abortion and have even offered to drive her out of state for it." I've been with my girlfriend for 6 years now, and from the start, I've been open about not wanting children. I've never been maternal, and I've never pictured myself with children. My girlfriend, Aubrey, has always been the opposite. She's always wanted to be a mom and has always thought I'd grow out of it, not wanting children. I'm just gonna say it, gentlemen, if you don't want to have kids, get the snip. You're essentially just walking around with a live grenade otherwise. Sorry, this is just the first paragraph. Let's read the whole story first. It was alright for the first few years, sure. I'd have the occasional, "Can we start trying?" But I'd always say no. Well, last year, Aubrey's Facebook got hacked, so as she didn't know how to get it back, it was down to me. I got it back, so I had a look in the groups she was in and her messages with friends and family, and to make sure that no scam links or crude messages had been posted. Do note, I had Aubrey's permission. Now, while looking, I found she was in a few parenting groups, mom groups, and even babysitting groups. We didn't even have a child, as in looking for babysitters, not Aubrey being the babysitter. It weirded me out a bit, so I confronted her, making sure she knew I had no plans to become a father, and that if she wanted a child so badly, she'd have to find someone else. Obviously, she didn't take this well, and we argued for 1 to 2 hours about it. Things cooled down after a few days, and I thought it had finally gotten into her head, but I was wrong. Fast forward to this year, Aubrey has been going on non-stop about becoming a mom, how she's ready and that she wants to be a young mom, not an old mom. We were still using protection, which I know isn't always reliable, but we were on it anyway. When I returned home from work last week, Aubrey was waiting excitedly for me, literally behind the door. I knew something was up, so I asked what had happened. She told me I was going to be a daddy. I freaked, and honestly, I still am. I frantically interrogated her and found out she'd been poking holes in the condoms I'd been using and said she was around 6 weeks. I yelled at her and told her she didn't have my say and that she knows I have never wanted children and that I was even planning on getting a vasectomy. But she ignored all this and said it was my fault and I'm dealing with the consequences. Dude, what? I asked her to have an abortion, which, as you can imagine, didn't go down well whatsoever. So this just isn't a case of carelessness, this is a case of rape, assault. She took advantage of you. This week, Aubrey hasn't stopped phoning everyone, announcing her pregnancy. She's even hosting an early gender reveal party. I can't be a dad, and I don't want to be a dad. I've honestly been thinking about breaking up with her, but I know how it'd look bad. I'm so frustrated and I don't know what to do. Firstly, after all this happening, and at best you think about breaking up, like at this point, you're no longer a couple. I mean, there is no way you have a healthy relationship beyond this after what she's done to you in terms of boundaries, respect, like accepting you as an autonomous being of your own desire and volition. Like, dude, she's been wanting this the entire relationship. Sure, hindsight is 20/20, but I mean, she's been pretty clear this was going to be an eventual hope of hers since the beginning. Either way, largest opinion from the peanut gallery is to either sue her for this or just sign away your rights and move on with your life. Because yeah, you're just wasting her time and she's breaking your trust. Obviously, the most honorable of traits to have in a partnership. But what would you do in this situation? I mean, personally, I probably would have left the relationship ages ago, but yeah, look, sometimes you just stick around because you're too content with things. Unfortunately for him, she perceived his content as consent. Over to another story that's a classic tale of just because it works for that person, it's not going to work for you. Polyamory ruined my relationship. I'm a 20-year-old female. I got advice from a poly couple that to solve my, back then monogamous, relationships problems, I should just turn poly with my partner, 23 male. We took this advice and did it. We got a girl, a third, female 20. It was the worst decision ever. I feel like now my partner cares for her more than he cares for me. Poly people told me love is infinite. But if that's the truth, why can't I get the same amount of love the new girl gets? All of this could have been solved with therapy and we would still be happy with each other without any third wheel. Well, now I am the third wheel. Polyamory is such a hurtful concept. I regret ever wanting to try it out. If you consider it, please don't. It will ruin your relationship. The story is a great example of it's not the thing that's the problem, it's the people practicing it that are the problem. Like, come on, adding a third wheel into your relationship was going to save it? No, that's like having a child saves a relationship. It doesn't. It just distracts you from the current already apparent problems. Even some legitimately poly people in the comments are kind of calling out this poly couple that would suggest this. I'm calling bullshit a little here because I have never seen anyone who practices ethical non-monogamy tell someone to try it to save a relationship. Most of us even caution extremely stable mono couples because it's just a whole new framework and takes a ton of communication, respect, and empathy. And a triad is one of the most difficult relationship structures. This is all kinds of messed up, and OP is right. They never should have been poly. But I hate that all of us get thrown under the bus because some people use polyamory to manipulate and disrespect a partner. There are good and bad poly relationships, and there are good and bad mono relationships. What are you talking about? Everyone knows monogamy's always successful. Just don't ever go on r/relationships, or Reddit, or the internet, or speak to any of your friends dating. Now, thing is, this person is a bit of a regular on Reddit, and they have a bit of a post-history of sorts, which someone has read, and my god, yeah, let's just go from the beginning of this whole ordeal, and you understand just how much of a piece of schmidt this boyfriend is being. So it all began a month ago on r/non-monogamy, where the OP does ask, how should I approach slightly opening my totally mono relationship, and how do you set boundaries? Giving us some insight into this, like, he's a scumbag, I mean, come on. I am in a mono relationship. Me and my boyfriend have been dating for a few months, so not a lot of time. My boyfriend had a bit of poly mindset, casual smecks with different people while having a main person. But after I said that's not enough for me and I'd like to be exclusive, he agreed. He was surprised that exclusivity also includes no sexting. I found out he did it, but we talked it out and I didn't even have to ask him to stop. He said he will stop because it upsets me. Correction, he will stop doing it in front of you. But weirdly enough, this makes him actually find this kind of kinky and makes her have that spark for possibly opening up the relationship a little bit. To which, yeah, she asks about boundaries and etc. How to go about this. Obviously, it seems things escalated way further than she imagined if all she wanted to do was just be next to him as he's flirting online and, you know, spark the passion from there. Instead, it's developed into having a literal third person in their relationship completely. And this relationship just becomes a roller coaster after this because a few days after that curiosity she has for opening the relationship, she comes on to relationship advice, asking about the suspicious activity of her boyfriend liking a girl's pictures that she posted from 2 weeks ago. So immediately falling back into the I don't trust my partner train. Which then, yeah, brings us back to the day where she started posting in various subreddits asking how to deal with her situation that she clearly doesn't want to be in anymore. I mean, how screwed up is this? In r/Smex, she posted in 19 hours ago, asking ways to fix her libido, but like, again, to skim through, they had an active, intimate life together and that all changed when a third came into the relationship. A girl, 20 years old, oh look at that, just happens to be young. One night when the third was sleeping over, I heard her and my boyfriend go to the other room and they slept together there. I didn't do anything. I pretended to be asleep, but I wanted to cry. That was the day or night my libido problem started. She's involuntarily cuck-queening herself, to which she asks about how to get rid of this feeling. She wants it back. The worst part is he will just go sleep with our girlfriend every time I say no, and they can do it for hours. Is there something I can do to make being with her unappealing to him? Ooh. Oh, that's gonna be, oh, maybe throw acid on his willy, I don't know. Oh, but oh man, I didn't even find these until just a bit now. Here's some more evidence he's just as scummy as you think he could be. This is all before opening up the relationship. 2 months ago in r/am I pregnant? I'm just gonna read the top paragraph of this post. On day 20 of my cycle, I let my partner go inside me without a condom. I'm not on birth control. I didn't want to, but he insisted, saying it'll be just one time and he'll shut up about it. So eventually I let him. Obviously, yes, OP, grow a spine, but also, dude, if you need to Encourage is too generous, like gentle and nice of a word to use here. You weren't encouraging, you're like pressuring. There's nothing sexy about having to pressure someone into doing something with you. How does that not make you shrivel up? But it's not just pushing her to do things she doesn't like that is just ridiculous. In Ask Men Relationships, she came back on there, also 2 months ago. How do I confront my boyfriend about this? Again, to summarize this post, she notices he follows a lot of women from Philippines, Indonesia, essentially more third world countries. And get this, he said he exchanges nude pictures and videos with them, claiming they're easy because all he's got to do is lie to them that he'll bring them to our country. Obviously, she gets upset about this. Oh, but don't worry, fellas. Sometime later, he comes back and says he will stop because firstly, he sees it bothers OP, even though we didn't agree online as cheating. Secondly, because it makes him feel awful afterwards. Oh, look at that. He has a conscience. So hooray, that part of the relationship's been fixed. I mean, dude is 23 years old. He's not 15. How is he not aware that being flirtatious and intimate with other women, regardless of if it's not face-to-face, is still cheating? God. But yeah, let's just highlight that. Okay, and then we agreed online things are also cheating. Oh, what's this next paragraph though? It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and today I saw he followed a new woman from Philippines, but she doesn't follow him. She looks 40 years old though, and he usually expresses attraction towards women his age or a bit younger, so they might not necessarily sext. But then, why would he have a reason to follow her? On Facebook, she claims to be a digital creator and has 1.6k followers, but on Instagram, she barely has 200, and her last post is from 2016. So yeah, unless there's some legitimate business relation reasons to follow this person, I think it's clear to say he's, again, only stopping doing this in front of you. Like, wow, I think I would have been less upset if he just said he has a bit of a South Asian fetish. Like, he literally told you he is doing this because the women are easier to exploit. Like, that is... How do you think he thinks of you? It gets to a point where that's not just someone with a high libido. This man genuinely has a problem, an addiction of sorts. It's beyond excusable and you gotta leave him. We'll head over to Am I the A-hole now with an update to a story that began over 5 months ago. Things have got chaotically domestic. Am I the a-hole for cooking my boyfriend's family Chinese food instead of Chinese food? I was born in China, but my parents and I moved to the West when I was little, so I was raised mostly Westerner, but my parents still managed to teach me many Chinese traditions, including food, and I sometimes still cook what they cook. So I have been with my boyfriend for about 3 years, and he lives with me at my place. This Christmas, his family, which is his mom, dad, sister, and nephew, came to visit him from his birth country, Spain, for the first time in years. I was excited because I had never had a chance to meet them in person. They arrived a few days before Christmas. He went to pick them up at the airport while I was working, so when I came home, they were already there. The meeting didn't go as well as I would wish, because the little nephew, as soon as he saw me, Chinese, started doing the eye-stretching thing. Thankfully, he was immediately reprimanded by his mom and grandparents, but the following days, he made a lot of racist jokes in Spanish, like, "What do you call someone who doesn't take a shower in Chinese? Xin shampoo," which means without shampoo. And he was barely reprimanded for that. Thing to note here, they mention it later on, but this kid is 12. This isn't an ignorant 6-year-old, this is a 12-year-old. So this piece of Schmidt knows what he's doing and who he's being. But besides that, Christmas went great. And the next day, we woke up very late. The nephew started saying that he wanted Chinese food for lunch, so my boyfriend's parents asked me if I could make it. I said sure. I was glad to do it. I cooked something my parents would do in a special occasion like these, and served the table in a very traditional way, with chopsticks and everything. Then I called everybody to the table, and instantly saw their disappointed faces. The nephew said, "What's this?" To which I said, "Chinese food." He grunted and said, "No, it's not," and started to throw a fit. His mum calmed him down. Then boyfriend's parents told me, "This wasn't what we were expecting." I asked, "What did you expect?" And they replied, "You know, something like what they serve at restaurants." So I tried to explain to them that this is something actual Chinese people eat, but they wouldn't listen. They dressed up and went outside to eat at a restaurant. And here's the kicker. My boyfriend stayed at home, but then called me stupid. He said, "You knew exactly what they meant by Chinese food. I'm trying to make you look good in front of them, but you're not helping me by playing dumb." I asked him to explain himself better, but just shouted, "When people say Chinese food, the last thing they expect is white rice? Get a freaking clue?" Rice! What Chinese joints is this family going to that doesn't serve rice? He then locked himself in our bedroom. Since that incident, they started to speak to me as a toddler, over-explaining everything they asked me to do, and stopped correcting the nephew's racist behavior. I tried to tell my boyfriend to tell them to stop, but he said, "This is your making. Now they think you're brainless." This continued till they left yesterday. My boyfriend and I now barely talk, and I wonder if it's really my fault and I should have known better. And we just gotta highlight this amazing comment back at the time. So they're from Spain. If you asked them for food from their country and then afterwards was like, "No, I wanted the stuff you get from Taco Bell," they'd lose their smit. Yes, I'm aware Taco Bell isn't Spain food, but people do understand that racists lump everyone together, right? They would assume Opie's family is Mexican because they ignore every other Spanish-speaking country. They also interchange Spanish and Mexican. They're racist, and so is your boyfriend. I'd cut the cord and find someone who can appreciate your culture. And another comment later down highlights that, yeah, despite OP's protests, her boyfriend is racist. Why she is okay with that is beyond me. Because as it turns out, the OP during this time was trying to defend her boyfriend. I know, a bit shocking, but all of her comments were being removed by the mods. I guess they don't like it when you defend racism on the internet. She even tried to make an edit to say like, look, okay, yes, sometimes he's rude to people, but he was never rude to me. This is like the first time he's ever done this sort of thing. He does have made an effort to learn a bit of Chinese, but obviously Chinese is pretty hard. Just want to make it clear that he is not a cartoon racist villain. But as others say, okay, he's not a cartoon racist, but he's a hidden one. He's shown you his true colors now and has created a truly hostile situation while making no attempts to stand up for you. Listen to him, the behavior will only get worse. And a few months later, the behavior got worse. For those who already know my story, my boyfriend allowed his family to be racist towards me. After his family left, I tried to break up with him, but he wouldn't let me end the relationship. I tried talking to him, but he would say something along the lines of, "I'm not breaking up with you." Oh, he's definitely watched some movies growing up where the man is heroic and sexy because he doesn't take no for an answer. Because nothing's more attractive to a woman than feeling like she's not safe with you. Oh, babe, the way you don't respect me. Oh, I'm gushing. I talked to my family about it. They were furious at him, and I had their support, especially my father. I'm so glad they were by my side. I went to my place with my father to confront my boyfriend and break up once and for all. He didn't take it well, shouted that I can't break up with him, and he won't end the relationship. That's where my dad intervened, and they started fighting. Like, fist fighting. My dad ended up being hurt, but he also landed some punches on my boyfriend. I was horrified, crying, screaming, and with no idea of what to do. My boyfriend then grabbed me, got my purse and took me out, my dad following me. My keys and phone were in the purse, so I couldn't go back in. He locked himself in and we started hearing him breaking stuff. Then Dad called the police. They arrived like half an hour later. During that time, we did hear him breaking more stuff. When the cops finally arrived, they tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't respond. So they broke the door down, and after another fight, they arrested him. I walked into my place with another cop and my dad, and everything was destroyed. Everything he could break was broken. From glasses to plates to mirrors to holes in the walls, every TV, my computer, my phone, coffee maker, etc. Dad pressed charges immediately. I was terrified, and I'm still terrified. We had a trial and he is in jail now, but I think he might be deported to Spain. I'm not sure. I'm still in therapy and still living with my parents. Some of my stuff was repaired, but I'm still not ready to go back home. Sometimes I still wake up crying in the middle of the night. I don't know if I regret standing up for myself, or if I will be able to trust people in the future. I might die alone without a husband or children, and that makes me sad. I had dark thoughts, but I find things that make me want to stay around. I don't know when I will feel good for real, but progress has been made. Oh, and my ex-boyfriend's family are still trying to reach me to insult me and make me feel even worse for sending him to jail. I block them, but they always find yet another phone number to call me from or a temporary email address. If you are reading this, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty drastic how much the world can change for someone in just a few months. But also, thank God that Dad was there. Could you imagine how this would have turned out if he wasn't around to protect her? All of the comments are giving her praise for this, like she is a survivor of domestic violence. Even if it was just this one moment it happened, it's, I mean, fair to say, especially from their own recounting of it, it's a very traumatic experience. losing my voice.
God, so traumatic it's affecting me somehow.
Clearly this D-bag of a scummy little boy with shrimpish little penis was aware that he was at a lost cause, so yeah, he decided just to basically detonate as much destruction as he could so he could feel like he had some sense of power over the situation he was in. No better way to let everyone know that you lost than to be as destructive as possible to everyone around you. Well, that is the end of today's video. Thank you as always for watching. Remember to drink water that's healthy for you and stuff. Love your face, and see you next time. Bye-bye.